Hi, welcome. In this video, you're going to see me performing a distraction socialization exercise with Tiny. Now, Tiny's here for service dog training. I'm going to bring her out in just a moment to begin to work her in and around Polly. Now, Polly is my dog, and I rescued her quite a few years ago now. And she serves a purpose in terms of also not just being a house pet, but helping me out with other dogs. So I use Polly sometimes in a very controlled way, a very safe way, so that other dogs that have issues with being reactive to other dogs, Polly helps with helping them overcome those issues. Now, in terms of overcoming those issues, what you're going to see me do here is a very controlled type of an exercise, okay, with a focus on interrupting, okay, how Tiny is investing in other dogs. And so the issue about interruption, okay, is the issue about the agreeableness of specific interactions which Tiny is going to be motivated, okay, to come into agreement with in terms of influence, okay, how influence intersects moments where I'm going to see me nudging the leash a little bit. Because here's the thing, it's understanding going into a process, okay, just like I talked about a relationship problem where you know a child is already selfish, understanding how it is that the process itself has to represent where you're currently standing in the relationship, okay, in terms of interacting in very specific ways to advocate change, okay. So this is no different. Understanding dogs are social animals, understanding the issue of control, how it manifests, okay, in various ways, through behavior issues, okay. So therefore, understanding this issue of what we call stinking thinking, okay, so therefore a look just isn't a look, okay, so it's a level of investment. Okay, this is where you see dogs that really fixate. They begin to invest in, anticipate, gaining control through other dogs, other people, other situations. And how you reconcile that, okay, is the context of these interactions, okay, based on the dog's response to influence within the context of what's reasonable. So there's a nudging with the leash a little bit to interrupt that state. And again, when I talk about nudging, I'm doing it in a proactive way. So I'm not waiting. This is key. I'm not waiting for Tiny to over-invest. This is where you get yourself into a lot of problems by a higher level of conflict. Okay, it would be similar to knowing that you already have a problem with a selfish child, and you're waiting before they get heavily involved in an Xbox game. Okay, just think about that. Okay, an Xbox game with your online friends, then you're going in, okay, and shutting things down. Okay. You can expect a lot of conflict, okay? But you already have a relationship problem. You know that that's not perhaps a healthy activity, okay, for the child to be involved in technology that way. But the problem is you're waiting too long to engage, okay? So the better option is to have a conversation, establish the ground rules, okay, prior to. And here it's very similar, okay? It's understanding the context of control, relationship. And so it's basically me having a conversation with Tiny prior to saying, hey, don't invest in, don't even look at, okay, Polly. Okay, it's not about just being tyrannical to be tyrannical, okay? This is about context, about where you're at in the relationship. So as things move forward, okay, and this is where you gain context through and you reconcile, okay, a dog's reaction both, and this is where the interactions are going to reveal that. Not just change how the dog thinks, but it's going to provide revelation as to how things are moving along. So at some point, okay, a look will just be a look. Okay, so, but again, this method gives you context. It provides revelation, okay, as to where you're at in the relationship with your dog, but change at the same time. So whenever I talk through this with people, I always apply everything I say to my human example. Okay, this will be very helpful. So here, okay, just to understand, so again, providing a foundation as to why I do the things that I do, how I do it. I don't use treats, I don't use a motivator because, again, understand of what you're doing. Okay, this whole thing is built on assumptions. Okay, I'm not going to use a motivator to bribe, okay, to motivate a dog that's already holding a level of control to come into agreement with us and respond a certain way, because the problem with that is through the application of doing that, it creates an open door for Tiny to continue to hold control, okay? Even though I may get a certain response, okay, it doesn't mean that the relationship is cleaning up whatsoever. Very deceptive, okay? This is why you really wanted to make sure you're doing it this way, to make sure the individual, the dog owner, handler, is fading in the right way. Okay, this is very intentional with how this is done. So making sure there's no obstacles, okay, getting in the way of change. So the motivator, and this is hard for sometimes for people because you'll see me, I'm asserting influence through the leash. But here's the thing, because it makes sense to a dog, because they're motivated to come into agreement through these interactions with what's reasonable. Okay, it takes on, the motivation takes on a different level, different meaning, but the right way. Just like if you have an already selfish child and you're interacting, the parent is interacting with the child in specific ways, the child's going to be motivated, okay, to come into agreement with the parent based on what's reasonable, okay, what makes sense. Okay, this is the same thing. So the foundation of the exercise you're going to be doing is, I'm going to be bring Tiny, when I bring Tiny out on the leash, right away, okay, I'm going to be working to make sure she's not, her head's not turning, she's not investing. So, I'm going to be moving her certain ways. You're going to see me moving her certain ways. And I'm going to be, again, this is controlled. So, Polly's here. This is the first stage of this type of exercise. So initially, I want to have a better level of control. So I'll have Polly in a crate. Okay, she's just hanging out. She's fine. I've done this exercise many times with her before this way, so she understands what I'm doing here, okay? But as I'm doing this with Tiny, I'll be bringing Tiny, you see me working her kind of ahead of the crate a little bit. I'm going to be setting up so she's got to turn and working certain angles, so she's got to try to turn her head. That gives me a better picture as to what she's trying to do, the level she's trying to invest. And you're going to see me tapping the leash, you're going to see me interacting with her certain ways to create that understanding that, hey, don't even think about looking at Polly right now. I own Polly. This is about relationship. This is about me, okay, being the pivot point, okay, establishing control. But it's about relationship too, me fading in. So I'm going to be moving around the crate. I'm going to see me moving around for a few minutes. And I'm going to be asserting, okay, through these interactions, I'm going to be establishing what these interactions represent. They're the same. So, Tiny's going to make sense of them. Because again, this blends into everything else I've been doing the whole entire time since she's been here. Okay, so this is just another kind of level of that, just expanding it a little bit. Because the goal here is to move from Polly being in the crate, then to Polly being moving around, and then tomorrow I have another dog showing up here as well, another shepherd. Okay, and you're going to see that as well. But I have opportunities with other dogs to really expand, okay, get into a higher, in terms of moving this along. So I've been working with Tiny around other squirrels, okay, outside. So all these different interactions all blending together. So again, I bring Tiny out here. You're going to see me work at the method, doing it for a few minutes, and to start to create a better foundation as expectation. Because here's the thing, as a service dog, okay, you go into certain areas, okay, other service dogs could be present. You want to make sure that your service dog is focused on you, not focused on other dogs. And here's the thing about a look, can be a look, okay, but it's understanding when a look turns into something else. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, that's where you have to establish this properly. So I want to make sure that Tiny understands that her focus needs to be totally on the owner and help her roll. The other dogs can be present if the owner needs help, in various ways. Tiny needs to be focused on her role that way, not focused on other dogs in situations where it's going to cause her to be distracted. So I bring Tiny out here, I'm going to work on this again. Tiny's going to have, I'm still using the pressure collar, the choke chain, okay, for a little bit more leverage, especially at first here when you're doing a new exercise where she may want to invest a little bit more. I'm using the choke chain kinetically, okay, to help, it's just a tool to help me establish influence these moments, okay, but it's how you use it in a proactive way, okay. So if you wait too long, this is when people start trying to crank and yank on dogs. but you're waiting too long anyway. They're in a reactive stance. This is about being proactive so that you're more successful. Okay, you're going to have a better agreeableness because you're ahead of the curve of the mind of the dog. Okay, so I'm going to bring Tiny out here. You're going to see me working her for a few minutes. So right away when I bring her out, I'm going to move her, right? Move her this way, right away. See me move her? So right away, when you bring a dog out doing this type of exercise, okay, you want to, okay, immediately move them at an angle. Don't let them invest. You might just open that door for a second, but I'm immediately moving Tiny over this way, okay? Just going to untangle my leash here. Now you need to untangle the leash or something. Always stay focused, okay? Now here's the interesting thing, and this you'll see this in dogs. When dogs have a higher level of control issues, okay, where they're over-investing, you start to do the method like this, you'll see them look away this way, almost like they don't want to deal with it, all right? It's like, okay, either I want to be able to fully control and invest, or I don't want to participate in this exercise, okay? And you'll see them move their heads really far away, like they want to get away from it now. They're either all in, or they want to get away from it, okay? So even that will give you a little bit more information when the dog starts to get more relaxed. Now right here, Tiny's doing great. Tiny's not, because again, I've been working on this, okay? So this isn't like you just bring her out here and I expect craziness, okay? When you lay a foundation, this is why you want to, when you're doing this type of methodology, okay, you start off just, you know, in just routine type of stuff, okay? Taking the dog to the bathroom. You know, you saw me working around the training area and low distractions. And then outside, there's squirrels. I'm starting to really kind of ramp things up a little bit. So by the time I come out here like this, okay, I already know, okay, Tiny's going to be pretty agreeable. Okay, so it's like how you kind of do this. Even right there, see you kind of look over a little bit. I just gave her just a tiny bit of a nudge. She comes out a little bit away from me. Put her back in. I want to keep this lined up. Okay, now I'm going to start to move. Okay, so again, I'm moving here. See, I bring her right next to Polly. And I always do this too. When you do this type of thing, you're not doing this to torment the dog, okay, or to, you know, tease the dog. Okay, this type of exercise, you want to set this up as though it's like a normal type of thing that you would typically be doing in a normal circumstance. So never put a dog in a position to fail. Okay, always do this in a very reasonable way. You know, I know kind of my boundary lines here where, because here's the thing is I want Tiny to be successful. Okay, I want the agreeableness part. So I always set this up so kind of feel it out so you might be starting a little further away. Okay, never do this exercise if the dog's holding a lot of control. If you have to use a muzzle on a dog, don't do this exercise yet. Okay, just do it in a very low distracting way. This all follows a sequence. So again, I'm moving here, Tiny. I'm just relaxed, moving around here. We'll bring her in a little closer. But she's almost like even right now. She's like, well, I don't really care, right? I'm just like big deal. And this has been great too because outside, the last 2 or 3 days, I have a neighbor's dog that comes out, and these 2 little dogs, and they're really yappy. Okay, they're out there this morning, and they're like barking at the fence line and going on and on and on. And it's almost like it's very annoying. Okay, but it helps Tiny a lot. Because now Tiny's almost like, I don't care anymore. At first she was like, wanting to really invest. And now she's got to the level where these 2 little dogs are up there constantly barking and just going on. They go on all day long. Which is great for Tiny, right? Because, you know, think of it. If you want to help a dog, what better environment where you have these 2 little dogs going on all day. And it gives me an opportunity. Because guess what I'm doing? Just like this, right? I'm just nudging Tiny out and saying, do your business, go to the bathroom, right? Keep her focused on what, you know, she wants to do. Now here I'm going to put her into a down. See that? Great. Push sheet down there. Bring her up into a sit. A little pressure, but when you bring her up into a sit, make sure you put the dog back, established back right into the sit, because this is all, I call them set points, but language of the method, okay? You notice I'm not rewarding here because there's an understanding the intent of what I'm doing here, because I need to emphasize control, right? I'm not mad, I'm not angry, I'm just relaxed because it's tiny, it's her understanding what I'm doing to what the method, what the interactions represent, okay? I'm at a deeper level with dogs here. Same thing, back to the sit. I'll do a little push-pull here. If I have a pressure collar on, I'm not gonna pull up too hard. If I have a flat collar on, I can apply a little bit more influence, okay? Same thing, doesn't mean we do it down every time, just moving around here. I'm gonna bring her even closer. Okay? Because again, this sets up, see how, and see at the same time, I'm moving ahead enough so that she's got to still turn her head. So here, I don't want to line this up perfectly, like in terms of, side by side or facing. I want a little bit of an angle here because see how Tiny's got to, turn a little bit. I can still nudge her a little bit to say, hey, we're just hanging out. Yes, you're beside Polly, but I want your attention on me. It doesn't have to be looking at, Tiny doesn't have to be looking in my eyes. I want inwardness. You see how there's a little bit of inwardness? So the inwardness, think of the inwardness as fading in. So through these interactions, when the dog is turned in a slight angle towards me, see that? That represents that I'm fading in, okay? It's about control. Same thing, moving forward here, nudging. I'm just relaxed. I'm keeping Tiny in really good alignment here, right? In terms of being beside me, because this is important too. So physical alignment. Like the power of the building coming over her, right? You know, I don't kind of nudge it at the same time. So I'm kind of multitasking, okay? And here's the thing: when you get tuned to this method, you're asserting some influence here. You're getting feedback all the time because the relaxation of a dog is really going to tell you, give you a lot of information. She's very relaxed. Okay, look at her. She's very relaxed. Some dogs, you can feel the tension building. And almost like you're going to have a flashover moment, okay? That gives you information. So there's always information. When you're in tune to this method, to these interactions, you're doing the way I show, you're going to get feedback. Both, telling you what will happen and how things are moving along. Okay, so this system of training is very good that way with telling you what is happening both in the moment and where things are heading. Okay, keep things safe. I've only been bitten